Okay, can you all hear me loud and clear? Welcome back, guys, to the live stream for the first one for 2018. Hope you all had a really nice break. Had a bit of a chance to unwind. Had a good Christmas. I'm trying to work off my Christmas kegs at the moment, so I've been back into the running, bit of swimming. Starting off the new year on a bit of a high, which is nice. Hope we can all hear me. Just put in a yes if you can hear me okay. Nathan, how are you, mate? Alrighty. Well, let's get stuck into it then. Looks like we're all up and running. Sharon, how are you going? Now, it's been a good time over Chrissy, actually. The market's been powering along. G'day, Greg, how are you? Powering along. So, starting off the new year with a bang. We had a big night on Friday night. I think Dow was up over 200, if I'm correct. Nearly, I think, give or take a percent. So they were doing that was after a couple of strong sessions as well. So pretty much, I think they had Monday off. Then it was Tuesday night. Yeah. So they had a couple of good sessions in a row. It was really nice. Of course, we just struggled to tick higher. We seemed to be selling off a bit during the day, building the high low, and then going on with it. But it's markets across the board doing really well. I think Europe's going along nicely. They've got some good figures coming out, some good data. US had their payrolls on Friday night. I don't know if you read anything over Bloomberg or Reuters, they say they failed to hit expectations, but they're still putting on numbers, which is the main thing. There's still about 150,000 new jobs created. The unemployment rate's still hanging quite low, so the labour market's going quite well. I don't know if anyone noticed, looking at the bonds, the US bonds, their yields kicked up. Even though the numbers didn't quite come in quite as strong, they did kick up. So that's interesting note. So if they're looking towards another 3 rate rises for the year, this year, I think things are going to heat up a bit. We might have an early spike on the S&P, on the Dow in the US, and then that sell-off that everyone's sort of hanging on, waiting to see. But don't bank on it. It could be short-lived, and then we just keep going on with it because the US economy is actually doing quite well. Just before we kick off too hard, I think I got carried away just then. Anyone new, welcome to TradeSetup. We're going to be doing these streams Mondays and Thursdays at 12:30. I know there's a few new people probably will be listening to this a bit later on. The idea behind the streams is we just chat about the markets, what's happened overnight, what's happened in the last few days, what's been the theme of the market, especially in the US, see what that's going to do in the Aussie, have a bit of a chat about our markets, and then just sort of take a look at some shares that are going for us, things that are setting up, and then really just opening up to anyone that wants to put in a stock code, something that they're looking at. It doesn't have to just be shares. It can be anything. Look at some currencies. We've been having a good little run on the currencies lately. The Euro, I think the Aussie, had a couple of good calls on that. So we're happy to chat about anything. And also what we want to do at the start of the year, see what you guys think and if there's anything that you might want to focus on when it's a bit more education, some bits and pieces. If there's anything that you want to focus in on, just send us an email to support@tradesetup.com.au. All right. Well, let's rip into it then. I'll get rid of this. I've just got to change over the picture there. There we go. Okay, we've got full screen. That's good. So, like I said, been starting off the year with a bang. We've only got 4 alerts. I think we've had 4 alerts going for a little while now. Got onto a new one today, XRO, for anyone that's following us, at 29.26. It's now 29.49, I think, so that's kicked off nicely. So we've got a total of 5 going at the moment, and they're just going gangbusters. Some really nice looking charts there. We might as well go through those now while we're on the topic. So we've got SGM. We've taken a partial on that one. Is that all clear, guys? Is that... Actually, let's go across here. No, that'll do. Make that a bit smaller. All right. So Sims Metal. Don't know if anyone's got a hold of that one. Look at that price structure. We'll get to the weekly. Might just make it a bit thicker. That weekly's looking really good. You can see it sort of had a bit of, it's obviously come off the high. Here we go. Oh, no. Just got to get used to the computer. Only a few days off, but it's enough. All right, you can see the market got sold down. It sort of held up. It started to get some buying support coming back in, but it wasn't strong. And they had that little final sell-off down to $6. And from there, we've just been holding high and low. So once we got up through 13, it was looking really good. Looking good for just that continual holding high lows, especially with commodities going quite well. I think they're getting a bit overcooked at the moment on the commodities, and probably a bit of heat's going to come out of those. I think the commodity indexes were down on Friday night. I know copper was sold off a bit. So you probably find that there's a bit of heat coming out of those markets. A lot of the charts are looking a tad overextended on the commodity stocks. So we'll see how they go. But this one's still powering along nicely. Sims Metal. Let me make that a bit better. You can see that beautiful little... the market sold down. Obviously gap down here. Closed that gap. Then pulled back. If that was weak, that should have found a bit more selling and taken out that low. But instead it started holding some higher lows. And you can see that nice little curving, cup and handle, I think Davin calls it, type of price action that looks really nice. And it's really just a matter of looking for that pullback and working that setup. So that's going nicely. I can't remember where exactly we got in. Sims 1450. So it's somewhere just through here on this little kick up on that green candle, and it hasn't looked back. Don't know. It's looking, like I said, a bit extended. Just to take a bit of a guess, we may be looking from this low to high. If we can measure that, let me just draw it up. Just want to see roughly where we could look to go. Alright, so that low to high, that's not very good. We're probably looking somewhere around the above 18. Take it from the lows around 11 up to around 1650. What's that? 550, 1250, 13, 17. That's not right, is it? We've got that right? 11 up to 16. Yep, it's $5.50. 17.50, sorry. 18. So looking somewhere around potentially 18. See if we can push up to 18. Just continue on with it. G'day, Nando. How are you, mate? Happy New Year. Looking for another big year this year. We'll see how it all goes. See if we can continue on the way we're going. Edging high. If there's a bit of a sell-off, we're going to have to start looking at some shorts. Maybe some index. I know we'll chat about this in a minute, but STW as a bit of a proxy trade in that for the index, if you're a stock trader anyway. Alrighty, so we got, this is SGX, that's going nicely. Want to see if that can just continue on, taking a partial on that. So really just going with the flow at the moment, see if we can tighten the stops up. Got it at 1550. I don't like having it so far away, but realistically this is looking a bit extended, but there's nowhere else really to put the stop. If we start punching up to 1750 again, or maybe up towards 18, may just close it out altogether, because I think it's starting to look extended on both the, see here on the weekly and the daily, so it's probably due for a bit of a correction. It's starting to go vertical too, so there's a lot of stocks out there that look like this, have had that nice little push up, they've gone vertical, so I'd expect a lot of them would have to start correcting just to wash out a few of these late traders. Bit of a pullback, and then looking to build a high low again. Now ACX, that's doing nothing until we find out more news on that that buyout. Whether that gets through, gets confirmed. Partial on that one. That's at 7. I can't remember. 780 or 790. That takeout offer. That's gone. That was a nice little move. That spiked up. So that's doing nothing. We just have to sit there and see how that goes. Partial's all locked in. But if it all goes through, then this should have another kick higher. LVH, that was one. We've probably got the exit around 130. I've just tightened it up a bit. Tighten it up a bit at the moment. Just 1 second, guys. All right, sorry about that, guys. Just had a hungry little boy walk in. So LVH, we've got in that at, I'll have to check that, it's been too long. 102.5. So we've got in with this little push up here. You can see that nice structure. It had a little run up, washed out a few of these traders, started holding high lows just in here, and then it started picking up again. Got the entry, sat through a bit of pressure there, but it was still okay, around just above break even. and then it's really started taking off coming the end of December and over Chrissy. So that's good. That one's a bit the same as SGM. We just said that's getting a bit extended on both the charts, the daily and the weekly. You'd expect profit taking to come in. It looks like maybe with that spike up today, that's what we could be seeing. So if we start building a lower high, we're just going to get out, take the opportunity to get out, lock in the second half. Either that or we get stopped out soon at 130. Just tightening it up, only because happy to tighten that one up because I think that's gone quite hard. I think we're due for a decent correction. Then we could always look to re-enter again if we get this type of price structure repeating itself. So really, I'm happy to be on the sidelines of that. It's about a 40 to 50% gainer on that. Nothing too shabby. LVH BPT. Again, that's a cracker. Look at that, just kicked on straight up. That's its oil obviously kicked on too. That's, where do we get that? Keep referring to my sheets there. BPT 115. So I got that in a little push through. You can see that's sold. I've had a dip through the highs, push through the highs, washed it out, pulled back, but it built a high low, which is always nice. You see this kind of price action with this original push up through the high and then rejected. That's not too good, but the fact that buyers are stepping in still at these higher prices, happy to step in, then you've got this little pop up, potentially a lower high, but that needs to crack through that 102 to be a lower high. Instead, it started getting lifted, so buyers were stepping in at higher prices again, around that 107 mark, 107.5. So that was good. That was the entry there. That was the reasoning behind the entry, and then it's just kicked off strongly. We've taken a partial on that as well at 130. I think that locked in. What are we locking in at? 12%, 13% on that. So we're really just looking for another opportunity. Maybe tighten up. Have to see really the only, above the high low is where we want to place. Sorry, below the high lows where we want to place our stops. And that's way down here at 107.5. So it's just a touch below break even. I would rather lock it in the whole figure mark, maybe 120, lock in a small gain on the second half. So we'll probably be looking at that later on today. Still looking good. The weekly, like I said, that's looking good. It's a bit extended. I'm just looking at it thinking it's a bit extended at the moment. There's no real, this is the next high. And that's a long way away, 180. It could just keep grinding high. So that's why you don't really want to put it too tight, put the stop too tight, and there's nothing really in its way just at the moment. Just have to see how that goes. Let's just see what's on the monthly. Yeah, there's no real levels. I mean, your next serious level is right up at 170. We'll see how that one goes. What was that? It was BPT. And the last one from today, that new entry, and you can see that market's popped high. This is XRO, zero. I don't know how you'd say it, limited. So that's looking good. The market's pushed up, went sideways, consolidated for a while, and then started lifting again. That was back in September last year, lifting to the highs at 30, just above 32. And then we see a big washout. That's cleaning out a lot of these late buys. And the reasoning why we got into this one, where do I want to put that? CB8, there we go. The reasoning why we got into this, we're just looking for that area where contraction from the highs, where it looks like it's starting to build a high low and going to start holding high lows. So the idea is obviously to get in as early as we can. So you can see that consolidation through there, and it started lifting again, nice leg up. So this is the action starting to wash out. That's washed out a few traders holding lower highs. Let's just do that again. I want to make that across the highs, and you can see that lower highs, that's that channel down, whatever you want to call it, but then it held that high low here. And because we're near the top end of that channel, the idea was that if it broke through the previous high, which is just here, it's just above 29.20. I think it's 29.24. I think those highs. If we broke through there, then there's a good chance we're going to be busting out of that contraction lower, and we're going to look to hold some high lows. So from here, I expect it to attack up towards above 32 and just get that second to this leg up here. Continue that on. So that should take us, as a guess, 20 up to 32. 12 bucks. Take that from, say, 26, 25, 37. Somewhere up towards 37 if all goes nicely. So if that's the start of that one, we'll see how that goes. But the stops are obviously just below this high low here. So far, so good. That's going, well, that's actually just kicking on nicely. $3 million, up 2% today. So we'll see if that can just continue on. And look at the weekly too. The weekly stochastics are on the rise. It's coming off sort of that overstretched level. You can see the markets went to oversold, holding a higher low, pushed up to overbought, another higher high, higher low again when it was oversold. So it's going in the right direction, trending higher on the weekly as well. So that's pretty much all we got on at the moment. We've got a couple that's potentially looking for. Just 1 second there, guys. Just have to be quickly. Just bear with me a sec. Alrighty. So someone's just asking, how do I join in? All right. So any questions just on those ones? We'll take a look at the overall market. So there's probably not much to talk about. We've got the FTSE into new highs, all-time highs, I think overnight, or maybe the night before, the last few days at least. Of course, the Dow and the S&P just keep ticking along nicely, grinding higher. What else do we have? There we go. Just got to get up and running. Let's just take a look at them. So that's the FTSE. That's your weekly. Look at that. That looks nice. Into all-time highs. Yep. So they just keep grinding higher. Look at that. That took out, must have been, it touched all-time highs, I think, yesterday on the 4th. But just closed below it. Yep. Previous highs, but that today, yesterday, overnight, ticked high. That's looking a bit stretched too. I mean, you can see it's hovering around that overbought territory. The weekly's starting to get up there now, so you probably find there's going to be a bit of profit taken on that eventually. But in saying that, look at the Dow, just keeps grinding high. That's starting to, again, that's starting to get a bit overcooked. Just be wary, I think, in the new year, we could have a bit of a blow off, on the major indices. Everyone's sort of factored in rate rises, and if it does kick along like we expect with the interest rates, then that's going to put a bit of pressure on, I think, on a lot of these. I think company reportings too have been gradually, the results have been less and less in the US anyway. So as rates rise, the cost of funding is going to be higher for them as well. So that's going to put a bit of pressure on their bottom line. So you would expect that to be filtering through into the indices at the moment, into the stocks. But then again, looking at that chart, that's just powering along, isn't it? We could just do the same thing, correct for a few days, bang up she goes again, correct for a few days. You don't want to second guess this, especially when we're in all-time high territory. And the same on the S&P. It's starting to get a bit more vertical, you can see that, and that's generally associated with the end of a trend. When markets start going a bit too vertical, they get overcooked. Nothing's ever, and we all know that, nothing ever goes to fair value. It's either overbought, oversold. They either go hard up or go hard down. But generally that's met with some either selling at this stage, or if it drops like a stone, it's met with some buying to bring it back to the averages. And at the moment they're starting to get away, you can see on the weekly, get away from those moving averages. They're starting to, so that you'd expect something to bring it back into line, or we may have to do a major correction before we start heading higher again. So for all those bears out there, your time could come soon. Don't know. I'm not going to try to second guess like we always say. Second guess it. I wouldn't close out here because this thing could go another 1,000 points higher. I mean, if you've got exposure to the US and even our market, that's going to drag us up. So you wouldn't want to close out of positions purely because of what you think could happen. You want to be proven. I mean, if you're going to trade like that, you probably would have done it last year, mid last year, as this market was grinding higher. I mean, look at that. You could have closed out here waiting for that correction, and it just didn't come. So anyway, that's the markets. The XJO. Well, we'll look at the Hang Seng first. The DAX is up towards highs, I think. It's up towards all-time highs. It's got to get through that 13,500, which is only a few. That's a session away for the DAX. Have another 150 point gain. They're right up there. Well, we'll get in on that. So they could be looking to break through all-time highs soon. And look at the weekly. The weekly's poised. So with this big sell-off, you can see stochastic, a lot of pressure from the sellers, but it's been met quite strongly with some solid buying in there at the highs. So I'd expect the DAX to trade into new all-time highs next couple of days maybe. If everything kicks on the way it is, I'd expect it to drag into new all-time highs. Nikkei, look at that. Not much to be said about that. It's straight up into new highs as well. Hang Seng, new highs as well. So Asia's doing okay. And us, we're lagging behind. I mean, that's still looking good. But I still reckon that's the highs we're targeting, up towards the 67.5, 6,800 level. We're a few hundred points from there now, and our market can only put on about 20 points a session in a good session at the moment. But look, we'll see. I still think that's that move up there. You look at these corrective legs that pop up, correction, take that leg up there, correcting, take it from the low to high here. That should take us up towards the all-time highs anyway. So whether we just blast through in one foul swoop, or we fall short a bit, correct, build another higher base, and then go from there, we'll just have to see how it plays out. But I mean, that's definitely on its way higher, looking good. On all charts, I mean, the weekly is overbought, the daily is getting up there, monthly, so they're all sort of hovering around that overbought territory too. So doesn't mean we can't just keep going higher. What's everyone else's thoughts on the XJO at the moment? Before we start opening up a bit. We all think the market's going to kick on higher. For anyone that's new, I know there's a bit of a delay here, so sorry about all that. It's the best you can do on the streaming, especially with my internet. If anyone knows the internet problems I had last year. All right. We're all bulls or bears, or we're looking for a rollover. I know we've got a bit of exposure to the upside, which is it's good to have, but I think there's times to tighten it up a bit. Yeah, I agree with you, Alan. You need something just to something like this, maybe a bit of a pullback, reversion to the mean, sideways again, hold that high low, and then for anyone that's jumping ship, they start to see that sideways move, they're going to start to load back up again. And try to see if they can push that market back to new highs. It's just a typical, was it the Dow theory? Higher highs, higher lows. At the moment, we're sort of getting extended at the moment, so you maybe need a bit of a correction lower to wash out some of those late traders, get them back on the sidelines, and then it's going to be opportunities again. Just see how the US goes in the meantime. Exactly. And that's, I think Helen's just triggered a good point. You can't and that's where people get caught. I think you sort of beginner trades, so I'm a fan of the charts. It shows clearly whether something's looking to be a bit extended, and we've always spoken about this, and it's always something to keep back in the back of your mind. How many more people are willing to jump in at these higher prices? Because if you're thinking that your pros and your what do you call them, your fund managers and all these sorts of traders, this what do you call the so-called smart money, are jumping in early. I mean, they're not going to be jumping in at these highs. So who's left to carry the bag up, or carry the baton, I guess, to push prices to higher levels? You've got to think that the fuel to push it higher is just running out. So you do need that bit of a pullback, and it happens in any market. So if you're chasing the market high, you're best just to step aside, either just forget about it or look at something else, or just wait. Try to be patient. I think markets and trading is a big part of it, is patience. And that's a big problem I've had in the past, is just the patience. You chase it, think it's going to go high, and sure enough, you get at or near the high. And then you've got to either sit through a lot of heat or take some losses. And then sure enough, something else kicks in. You get a bit angry. Well, I do anyway. Get a bit frustrated with yourself, and then see it have to watch a few losses in a row for no good reason. And then you get your perfect setup after, when you've had enough. So it's always something to keep in mind. Nothing goes up in a straight line, no matter what people say. There's always bulls out there, and generally I tend to think the people who are pushing it the most are the holders. They're not saying it's a great buy at this level, although that's what they're probably typing into Twitter, whatever it is. Great buy at this level. They've probably been holding it for a while. They want the good times to keep rolling. So don't be one of those traders, I guess, that buys when things are extended. Always look to buy into those unknown areas. Have we got an example? Just try to think of an example. Well, I would call this the unknown on XRO. So we bought into there. We know that, looking at just taking a read on that market, that it's head higher, went sideways, had another leg up. it's washed out a lot of these traders, and then it's holding a higher low. So we know that people are stepping in at higher levels, are willing to buy it up. So we're getting into the unknown. Don't know if that's just going to pop up and roll over and have a deeper correction. But from the analysis, we know we're putting ourselves in a good zone to get some good payouts. And that's all you ever want to do. Just rinse and repeat. Very much depending on the US, exactly. Trump factor. Ah, is that the one? Is that your little baby? Watching this one closely. Was it Sinlate Milk Limited, SM1, for anyone that doesn't know? I know Helen's watching it. This one, if we draw it up, this is one that could look quite good. Now, let's try that again. I've got some music in the background, guys. Can you hear the music in the background? Is it nice and relaxing? All right, so this is yeah, don't have it. This one's actually, it's holding up here. It's probably coming to that time. If we can get that high-low building, I reckon that one's about to go. But you can see that that's had a good run up from here, and it really just holding these minor levels, minor high lows, and then it just took off. It was solid buying right through, what's that, September, October last year. Then we had a bit of heat coming out of the market, but it's holding a good level around at 6. So if this can hold up without rolling over, I don't want to see it push down below 6. I'd rather see it hold up right where it is. So we've had that push down to 6, up. I want to see it hold here, even if we'd have to do a few minor high lows, and then see if we can get a level, a nice little setup to buy into. Potentially through, if we can get a nice inside one, we've spoken before, the inside is really this high low, off that high low there. If we can buy into that, that's generally a high probability setup, especially if you're just starting to push out of that contraction. The contraction, I mean lower highs. Does that make sense? That looks really nice. Yeah. We'll see how this goes. Keep us up to date on this, Helen, because I'll end up forgetting about it. I know what I'm like. 356. What are they doing? 38 to 46. Yeah, look, that's, you look at, one thing to look at is just the bid and the offer. If you can see what's on the bid and the offer, there's not a lot there. It hasn't done a lot of volume either today, but just keep an eye on it. So just be wary if you're going to trade this one. Generally, I like to use stop orders to buy into. Buy on stop, but that's only when there's enough volume. Otherwise, you're going to have to use limit orders. If you see it crack that level, jump on the limit, because otherwise that spread, like Helen just said, that spread's quite wide. What about there? 8 cents at the moment. All right. Well, let's get into it. Feel free to put in BWXFA. Keep going. We'll do, Sharon. Feel free to put in any of the stocks you want to have a look at, or anything at all. I'll start off. We've got one. Just got to find the code. And Rita got one from Clement. I'm just going to get home, don't I? Here we go. So Clement was looking at SAS. SAS. I've got SAS. That's starting to show. It's starting to look alright, actually. It just depends. If you're listening, Clement, I think a lot of it's depending at the moment. If we can hold a higher level here, but you can see that starting to look at the MAs. It's contracted in itself, and they're starting to spread again. So generally, when they're starting to spread, it's a good sign that market's finding some buyers. This is on the weekly, so we've got some work to do on the daily. Yeah, that's enough there, isn't it? So this is SAS. Does anyone follow this one here? We've had a couple of nabs at it. We've done really well once, and then we've got knocked about it, I think, once. Let me check the results. Yeah, so we've had 2 goes at it, up nearly 100% and down 26%. So net done all right on this one. We'll just see if this one can actually, you know, if they do, it does play out nicely. I'm looking at this here as more, you know, not so much that sort of resistance through there, but more this is a level, yeah, and through here as well. Actually, let's just draw that up a bit cleaner. More this level here as some good buyers. Sorry, a bit of resistance between 27, 28.5, and then through there. So that's probably what Clement's looking at. You can see there's been some definite, once we got through this anchor level, we've had this move up here. We started finding a lower high just in here. We broke through sort of that level around, I think it was around 19, 18.5, 19. Then it started, you know, just working its way lower. But in context to, probably going to show you, in context to what's happened, you had nice strong move up, pull back, build the high low, nice, really big strong move up. So when things go vertical like that, you've got to expect there's some heat. And I think that was prior to some news announcement on the back of some good news. And once that come out, everyone's sort of, you know, buy the rumor, sell the fact. Yeah, me too, John. Great, Nendo. It's looking good. I think this as it edges, if we can hold that high low in here, I would love to see that, because I think where's my little picture? With this little push up here, we're starting to break up and out of contraction. So really for me, for a new trade, so we've worked our way down here and we've broken up. I want to see evidence of buyers starting to step in and finding support. And whether you just get an inside level, like I said, or it's more of that. I want to see this type of price action here. Just getting those buyers starting to step back in and around the higher prices, whether it's 16, 15. We can always go down and retest 14. It doesn't matter. You just want to see them start to build and lift it back up at higher prices. And you can see that move down has been quite solid. The pressure's been quite solid from the sellers. Not quite oversold, but it was getting there. And that's holding up. So that's a change for SAS. It's, you know, for change from all this selling that's been pushing it down. So I think it's hasn't quite set up for me yet, but it's definitely going in the right direction and doing the right things. It's really just about seeing the last sort of step for the setup as the high low. All right, I hope that one helped, Clement, if you're listening. I'll just quickly see what he drew up, whether he drew up the same thing. Yeah, so Clement's he's doing quite well. He's been in here for a while. We've chatted a few times, and he's seen some good things. I think from what he first started, the charts he first started sending across to now, you can see really see an improvement in what he's. Well, I'm not saying we're right or wrong, but an improvement in what he's seen and the way he's setting up his trades. So it's pretty much just what I said here. He's marked up his chart and he's seen the same thing. You know, lower highs holding, starting to break up out of contraction. It's really just looking for that setup at the moment. If that's what he said, what he thought was in the setup. Good, no worries. All right, what do we got next? Is it BWX Sharon? That's one that we've had a few times in the past. A big shame that we don't have it now, I think. Yeah, look, at the moment, that's just starting to kick up. So if we can all see, I think this is where it's a good little chat about this one. All right. So you can see that the market from, that's the start, obviously. When was that? Back in December 2015. So this is when we started looking at it. It had a big push up from when it floated. Then you see the bit of profit taken with a lower high just in here. That was October 2016. And that's sold down. So you got that, your two legs down, like we've always mentioned. Sell down, tried to push back up, built a lower high, another washout, and that's taken out, built a lower low, and it started lifting from there, holding higher lows. So that's really your first. Let's just go and draw that up. So what we're seeing, this is your first major correction, all right? And then we started lifting from here. We really haven't had a major correction since. On the daily we have, you can see this leg up here. We've had some good selling down here. It's built your higher low. And then we've lifted again, some more selling, built your higher low. And we're lifting again. So whether we get, I think they're equal. Just below 4 up to about 5. So it's about $1 $6.20, 5 up to 7, so it's about $2. So this is about $1. Am I right? Am I miles off? Oh, that's 6. Sorry. So this first leg up here was from just below $4 up to about $6. It's just over $2. And then this move up was pretty much equal from 5 up to just above 7. So you can see by just measuring, this is what we call the volatility. Just measuring where it could go to, especially when you're in new highs. So if you've got a $2 move there, you got a $2 move there, roughly, you can assume we're probably going to go another $2. So if that's from 5, am I wrong? 6.25. That could be taking us up towards $8. I don't know, $8.40 thereabouts. Yeah, $8.40. So by looking at that, we just go down to the daily. If we've got some sort of target around that $8.40 mark, we've had one pop up here. We've consolidated sideways. Potentially with this second leg up is going to take us to that $8.40 zone. Is it worthwhile before potentially we get that major corrective action and potentially get washed out of the market? Or because on the weekly, it's starting to get a bit ahead of itself. You can see the MAs are heading higher, starting to go a bit more vertical. So when things go a bit more vertical, then you start to get some heavy selling coming in eventually. Just that reversion to the mean as sellers start to take profits, bit of a pullback. But at the moment, I mean, it's worth the risk even if you bought it just around here, looking towards 850. Your stop would have to go just below here. Well, this is where I would put it anyway. 740, just below 740. And then just see what happens. I mean, it's still a good setup. It just looks like you could be late to the trend. You've had 3 good longer term moves up. Your first leg, we'll get that back up again. Your first leg, second leg, you're halfway through the third leg up. You know, we're starting to come late to the party or not. That's the only thing, but definitely it's heading higher. No doubt about that. Plenty of demand. Yeah, there's not much on the offer there, is there? It keeps chugging along, this one. We started originally trading around the $3-4 mark, I think. Had a couple of little nabs at that. Been a good one for us, BWX. All right, next, what do we got? Greg, FMG. Now, FMG is interesting. We'll start off on the weekly. Ah, good show. Yeah, look, where do you have it from? What prices are you got BWX from? If you got lower than that, I'll just be tightening up your risk. Sorry, just having a mouthful of coffee there. Alrighty. So we'll just wait for. Let's just get an FMG. Just chuck in an answer when you can, Sharon, if you want. Now FMG, what we're looking at, it's been for a while actually. Just going right back, you know that there was a bit of. So this is on the monthly. All right. So you had a bit of resistance up towards that $7. And we had a powerful leg up. I mean, when the markets, don't worry too much about that. It got a bit ahead of itself, massive sell-off, then started, consolidating between that $7 and $2 mark. And it looked like here we're potentially going to build that lower high and push down, except the market's just popped straight back up to that $7 mark. So it's more of a range trading type of scenario on the monthly, the longer term anyway. But you know that was probably going to provide a bit of resistance. So if we go, and you can see just above 7, you can see that little pop up and then wash out of that $7 mark. And you know that there's people going to buy it on this, buy on stop, looking for it just to go straight through 7. But after this leg up for the good part of over a year, actually, it didn't look back. Trying to buy here when it's popping through $7 without it having a major correction, just to blow out a few traders or to wash out a few traders, it's a tough gig to buy something like that. With that respect to that, and you can see that it was getting extended up here. Prices were getting a bit extended, so then you got this bit of a sell-off. If it was a strong market, you would have wanted to see it hold a nice little high low in here, maybe contract in on itself. And by contraction, I mean, let's draw it up. Yeah, so we had originally that little sell would have been beautiful through here, and then potentially still riding that one. But if it was a strong market, you wouldn't want to see it. I don't really like to see it test that low. So what you could be looking for, this one could be just at the crux of breaking up. We don't know. And it could be a good little buy on the cards if this can hold up. And the good thing working for it, it come down to oversold. So really good selling pressure. Popped up, built that lower high, and that was extended. So you know you could probably, if you're going to buy it up here, you're probably in for it a bit there. And then it's pushed down. So another good bout of selling pressure. Really to push down, and it couldn't get through. So I was expecting it to actually push down and extend that. So your secondary move down and then start to build. But at the moment it's fallen short of what I thought would have happened. Held up at 450, and it's looking like it's starting to build. So from here, for a buy, if I can just draw this up. Just say that's our double bottom here. I'll draw that a bit nicer. I would like to see, whoop, if we can just change colors, potentially just pop up and then build a high low. That would be nice. That would be the ideal price action. Buy it in here or buy it a breakthrough there. So it's just your typical price action we're looking for. But after that breakout, which is just about there at the moment. So if it heads down from here, this could easily just head straight down and straight through that support at 450. Because you know there's probably a bit of buying that are built up here. It's starting to get a bit extended too. So that's a definite possibility. But at the moment, it's really just sitting in that region where I wouldn't buy it, I wouldn't sell it. Like I said, I was expecting that sell to come down on this secondary move down. It didn't happen, so it's obviously showing some buying at 450. It's showing a bit of strength here, and this could be a major, if you go back to the weekly, sorry, the longer term, a major higher low in here, especially after pushing up through 7. It's holding that major leg, and then we're gunning for 12 and potentially higher. And it's well and truly oversold on the day, on the week, on the monthly, longer term. Nice bounce off 450 here. It's getting a bit extended up here, but you know we could blast up, pull back, and build the high low, so we get that buying scenario. Or we just head south and wash out this 450 level, extend it a bit, and then start building. But I think longer term, obviously heading higher. But it's just we're looking for an entry really from here, I guess. Buy signal today on BWX. Oh, Metastock. 592, 756. I don't know where the prices are now. I don't want to get rid of that, do I? An addition at 756, but that's good. That's really nice. I think 592. Where is that from? So that's just below here. That's good. Either way, you're up. So you can't go wrong there, Sharon. Wrap will do. Actually, I want to take a look at wrap. All right, so BWX, sorry, FMG. I hope that makes sense there, Greg. I just see it as that it's sort of in, we haven't broken up out of contraction yet. As soon as we do that, we'll be looking for a buy. If it doesn't and starts heading south, I'd be wary that it could break through 450. So that's long story short. What else we got? You had another one, didn't you? IPL. Looking nice just by looking at that one. Institute pivot. So what we can see from the weekly. Look, I would have expected a bit more in that leg up. Let me just get I'm just going to get a good picture of that one. All right. So you had nice sort of base build, extended up here, and you got some lower highs, worked all the way back down to that support zone. Found a little high, well, slightly higher than here, but in the general vicinity. Really just testing that support again, holding that, and started to build again. So once you got that break up, I mean, the thing is, it's such a wide-ranging sort of a move. You know, that if you're looking in here on the weekly, you're really still in a downtrend. If you're looking to buy in here just off because you're off that support, it could have been a bit risky. As it was, it turned out all right. In here would have been nice if you're looking for a buy opportunity just after this push down, and as it starts to rise, potentially looking for a buy opportunity because you've got all this, you've got a longer term structure in place. I hope that I've drawn a lot of little lines on there, but I hope that's making sense, Greg. So this longer term structure is looking positive. Okay, the one thing I'm looking at, just clean that up a bit, is that's off a good solid base. So that's washed out a lot of late buys of this trend. So that trend, pretty much the move up from end of 2014 to 15. I'm on the monthly, weekly. All those traders have been washed back out of the market. It's gone back to scratch again. And then we're starting to lift. So longer term, it's looking quite good. That leg up there, I would expect it to extend. And that's probably going to take you to the highs, just as a glancing at that. What's that? Say 270 up to, say, 390. $1.20. Take that from, so that's what, 440? Yeah. So pretty much, I would expect it to be testing up towards those highs around 450, just with this leg up here. Whether or not it does is a different story. It's in a good position to do that. A couple of red candles on the weekly chart that doesn't look too great. So if you flick it down to the daily just to see what's happening, it's really got to hold this level. And if it breaks through this little high here at 396, I think that's going to just continue on up and get to that 440.50 level. But if we can't get through that level, I mean, it's right at that point now where it's got to get through there to prove itself. If it can't, we could get some selling come into the market and push it down through this low, which is just below 385. And then you could be seeing a bit of a corrective action on the weekly. Bit of correction here, and it's sort of running out of steam on this move up. We may not get to 440 in this move anyway. Yeah, but at the moment, I'd probably be happy to buy it on this inside level through 396, holding my stop just below that 385. What is that low? 383, so somewhere around 380. Because if it gets up and triggers the entry, it shouldn't look back, and we should be pushing up through those highs at 405 on our way to 450. If not, we've got something wrong. I'd rather be out. Back on the sidelines, reassessing. All right. Excuse me. So that's it. I hope that makes sense, Greg. What about, we've gone through that. ALQ. What I don't like about this, unless it blows up at the... we're on the daily. What does the weekly look like? All right, let me just draw that up. I've just got to check something. There's one thing on the weekly that looks good. I just want to check. Doesn't look so good, actually. So I'm viewing this as a potential short. And I'll tell you why. So what we've got here, you've got this good sell-off. I would have expected to hold up a bit higher. I know we are getting a bit extended down here. You can see the selling pressure has been quite heavy, and it's pushed us right down. We're still above that anchor level, so you've had this sort of grind higher, consolidated, another grind higher. But we come down quite suddenly. I don't know if it's been news-driven or what's happened there. But either way, you can see that it's just broken down through that trend line. What I'd be looking for here in the price action of late, that's probably the most interesting thing. I wouldn't want to buy it here. I wouldn't just jump in. And I'm looking at this price action. The reason is because of this choppy sort of price action. Obviously, it's gapped down. There's been something that I guess has triggered that, excuse me, that triggered that selling. But we could have another bout of selling come in and really take out those lows at 660 and head down towards... Where could that take us? If that's the second one, maybe we go down here. We end up, back down sort of towards that anchor level at 575. Down through here, if you can see that. That could be the second sort of secondary bout of selling. Anyone that's missed selling it on that gap down and missed selling in here, they're holding on. This price action is not convincing of buyers. And you can see it's different to this. If you see that through there, you get a good sharp move up. MAs are up. Consolidated sideways. Back to the MAs. Bang. Up she goes again. This is the reverse. Down hard. Back to the MAs. That's why I'm just looking for potentially another move down. Could be completely wrong. This could just fill that gap straight back up and keep going. But for me, I'm not seeing what I like to see on ARQ. Yeah. You mean 590? All-time high is 590. Oh, we'll see. Anyway, this is, and it's just that last little, if I take a snapshot of this, it's here. You'd be wary if that starts breaking down from here, and you can see it's just popped up through that height. You know, you haven't really got much support. It could be heading up towards here. But if we just do this type of, this type of price action is not convincing of buyers. If we just do that, bang, you'd be looking for it to, if we do that, then you'd be looking for a lower high to sell into. If we get that lower high, potentially that's going to be that secondary leg down, like I said, down to the $6 level. Well, don't know where, but we'll see if that plays out. I'll be steering clear. I'll be steering clear of that. I'd like to see, as a buyer, as a potential buyer, I'd like to see it maybe push down and then start to hold potentially. You know, if we do this, push down, potentially start to hold back down. Oh, I haven't really drawn that up. Let's just change colors. Might be easier. I'd like to see it. That's here, 670. Have I drawn that well? Down here. I'd rather see it start to lift off there. You know, a bit of contraction and lift again. That's what I'd like to see, because then you've got that retest of a serious level down around 670. And then if you start getting higher lows off that, that's a higher probability buy setup. Yeah, 690. So it's about there now, isn't it? Does that make sense there? You, John? I hope that makes sense. So yeah, I would just be wary of this one. What else we got? I think that was it, wasn't it? ALQ, it was one more, wasn't it? Playing BWX, ALQ. Oh, no, wrap. You said that, didn't you? Nando, wrap, where'd you put that in? Take a look at wrap. So wrap, we'll finish up on wrap probably. Whoop. I typed that into the wrong spot. Wrong screen, sorry guys. So wrap is one I've actually got myself, and I had that in here before it gapped down, so I had a bit of maintenance on that trade. So I bought some in here with this little pop-up. Bought probably, I don't know, double or triple the amount which I actually hold. So my break-evens come right down to around that 10 mark, I think it is. So I'm a bit behind the 8 ball at the moment, but you can see that starting to hold up. It's actually showing some really good signs. If we just minimize that, you can see it's starting. It's kicking up here. We've got a bit of buying. It's sold back down. It's just holding higher levels, and the latest one was a high level just around that 7 mark, and it's starting to lift again. So sooner or later, you would expect that to start accelerating. I think it's had some good news out. It's good news out today, testing. But the whole reason behind holding this for me is that the reason why it gapped down there is just on dodgy testing, really. I think the results they got from the testing were, the tests that were done, implemented correctly, were actually good results. But the problem is, I think about 70% or something like that of tests were faulty. So what they've had to do is cough up a lot of cash to go and redo those tests. They got reimbursed, I think, from the government, a bit of cash to cover it. But it's taken a lot more time, so people obviously just bailed on that. So I would expect their tests are coming out quite good. I think they had some news up which kicked it up in December. I think that was the reason why it kicked up back here. The tests were coming out with some good results. They've had some more news today. What does that say? RECEP enrolls first patient in SmartCough 2 study. So they're doing some good things, and I would expect that to start building now and heading its way back up to 30. We'll just see. It's holding. It's got the right price in very early stages at the moment, but it's showing some good price action. And those little jolts to the upside is what you want to see. And then, because the reason why I say it's a bit early is because it's coming straight back down again, but it's holding a higher level. So you're getting builders, buyers starting to accumulate a bit at these higher levels. And then we might get that push up through 10 again, play around that 10 mark, 10 and a half, maybe maybe straight through it, maybe pull back, build a higher low again, and then you start to see it start building as more and more buyers start getting attracted to this price action or the actual the story. So yeah, I think it actually looks not too bad at the moment. DDR, let's have a look at that. Whoa, Dick of data. I'm immature. I'm laughing at that. Your CBA alert. All right, we'll talk about that. Paul, how are you, mate? So that's, it was nice to say. That DDR is doing well. It's potentially a bit extended up here on the weekly and getting a bit extended on the daily, but that's great price action. Some good opportunities through here potentially. Not as clean as normal. This was a nice little buy setup, I think. That little pop up doesn't get too far though. Yeah, it's looking good. All right. Paul, CBA. I haven't looked at that today. CBA is probably a good one just to chat about. It's more of the longer term. What I like is this. Let's go back to the monthly. You can see it's had a good move up. That was back, you know, the GFC. GFC got sold down, started building again, holding higher lows. And you can see it's just had another strong leg up right to 95, 96.7, whatever it got to. What was that high? 96.16. And then a bit of a washout again. But we're starting to... What I like is really this latest price action. Potentially holding a major higher low here. Asleep at the wheel, true. All right, so you can see that's what I liked, and you can see it's holding up, and even a few washouts here. It's holding up at that 70 mark, and then you got the price contracting. You got lower highs, and then bang, you got this blast up, which is showing some good sign in buying. Then it's pushed up to this high around that 87 mark, and we've had two moves down. So really, I'm just looking for this one. I'd like to see it hold a higher low. All right, because this is potentially where the makings of a higher low here, longer term higher low at 73 comparison to 70. Still, it is longer term price action. And then I'd like to see it start to push up. All right, so ideally, this is this move down. We're up here. I don't want to see it just start grinding its way up like that. I mean, because I probably just wouldn't get an entry, but what I'd ideally like to see is pull back, maybe retesting somewhere around that 75, 76 mark. Doesn't have to get down to 73, but hold an inside high low. If we can hold an inside high low from here, then I think it's going to be a nice little setup, and that's going to take us up and through. You see, it's just starting to get up there now. Yeah, so it looks good. I think it's looking positive. We just have to see how it plays out. It's really the longer term structure I like. It's a bit choppy during the day, and this here is just starting to fall short. It could just fall short of this high at 81.56, 81.75. It's just got through there. Did it get through there today? Yeah, so it just popped through there today. It may have just washed out that high. And if we do pull back from here and build that high low like I expect, I'm just going to be looking at this and draw that up. For me, I'd just be watching here. If we pop down through there, then I'd expect it to hold a higher low somewhere above 73 and then look for that entry, because that's going to be a nice longer term higher low. Look for an inside level, and off we go. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I haven't been following it too much. I know there's a few little issues there, but I think they've probably put them. That'd be a bit of buy the rumor. You know, was it sell the rumor, buy the fact? I would expect with these anyway. The banks are money making machines, aren't they? Yeah, true, Paul. We'll see how it goes. I mean, that could play into our hands. That could play out nicely. It's just washing out this high, and you can see from I've taken rid of it. Wash out that high. We've got this level through here. And that's actually good. I don't mind that it's just popped up through there. And we may just wash out. It's just going to drag in a few of those late buyers who look to be buying it, and then wash them back out with a move back down. And that could take, you know, good part of a few months to work out if that plays out that way. Drag the way down, then start to build that high low like we just mentioned somewhere. I don't know whether it could just retest down to 73, 76, 77. Build that major high low, especially after this break up. So that's a bit of a heads up that something's happening. some buyers are happy to step in here and then, push its way back up. We'll see how that goes. But I think it's not bad price action to keep an eye on anyway. I just don't like, I wouldn't have bought through that break at 81.56. So I know that they're this kind of setup here, the way it's gone down, up, down, and then you got this sort of grind higher. I don't like that type of setup. It's not very strong. So I know a lot of people get dragged in there, they buy on stop, and then they can get washed back out of the market. I know it sets it up time and time again, but I would be looking for, that higher low to build longer term. Just buying here, expecting it just to keep dragging its way back up to 80 is going to be a tough bet, especially what you're saying with Austrac and that stuff. All right. Anything else? Any questions, guys? Anything else you want to have a quick look at? Actually, I better call it a day there. It's 1:04. I tend to get sidetracked quite easy. I'll just give it a bit of time. Anything else you want to have a quick look at just before we wind it up? Where's the actual overall market at the moment? We're only up 9 points at the moment, so we're drifting lower again. Where's wrap 9.1? That's good to see. Oh, that's good to see too. This is one I got here, EPT. It's only a small one, but that's looking really nice. It looks like it could just blast through 7 point whatever on its way up to 9 or 10. I'm looking for, this is one I'm watching, EPT. Just looking for that blast up through 10, see if we can get up through there. It's a nice price action, that. Anyway, thanks very much for joining us, guys. We'll probably call it a day. We'll be back in on Thursday, so just your regular days, Monday and Thursday. Just remember, if there's anything else you want to have a bit of a chat about, you want to follow, a bit more on currencies, whatever you want, just let us know. Send through some emails to support at TradeSetup.com.au or support at TradeDirect365.com.au, and then we'll talk about it in the next stream on Thursday. All right, thanks for joining me, guys. We'll speak to you then. Enjoy the rest of your day.